The womb and the throat were once one thing. Early on in embryonic development, there's a membrane called the ectoderm. The ectoderm eventually splits and one becomes the throat and one becomes the womb. And actually, this might be a lot less surprising when I show you this diagram over here. So yeah, this is a diagram of the womb and the larynx or the throat. And as you can see, like anatomically, they are twins. Not only that, they're twins on many levels. Everything in this world is vibration. Everything that comes into form is vibration. And everything that is spoken or all sound is vibration. So this whole world is made up of vibration, and those vibrations either come from the womb as form. We come from the womb, but also coming from the cosmic womb of creation as form, or the throat as sound, the cosmic throat as sound. Recently, I was giving a childbirth education course online to an expecting couple, and I was speaking to the woman about what she can use. I don't like the word coping mechanisms because it's not really about coping in birth, but what she could use as anchors in the intensity of childbirth, because whether it's painful or pleasurable, it's going to be intense. So what are the tools that I give and that many others give to ride those waves of intensity to transform that experience? Well, it's sound, breath, mantra, visualization, toning. And when I thought about it, I was like, this is exactly what yogis use. This is exactly what initiates use to transform their sacral energy or their life force energy or their sexual energy into higher octaves. They use these tools of the throat, breath, sound, mantra, to transform energy into a higher octave, to actually give birth to the divinity within, to give birth to the fully realized self, to the Christ child within, whatever you want to call it. They use the same thing that I suggest women use in childbirth. So birth really is similar across the board, whether it's from a physiological standpoint or from a spiritual standpoint. This womb-throat connection is there. So I was thinking deeper about this physiological connection between the womb and the throat, and the thyroid came to mind. The thyroid is a major endocrine gland located in the throat, and interestingly enough, I don't know the exact statistic, but most thyroid problems are found in women who have wombs, right? And the thyroid has a lot to do with regulating our reproductive health. If there's major problems with the thyroid, there could be major problems getting pregnant, maintaining pregnancy, or any sort of womb issues, really. And there's this increasingly common autoimmune condition called Hashimoto, where basically the functions of the thyroid swing on a pendulum from hypo to hyper. And I think it's something like 90% or even more of the people who have Hashimoto's are women, right? So there's definitely this womb-throat connection. So the jaw could be seen as the twin of the pelvis, and the muscles around the jaw and neck could be seen as the twin to the pelvic floor, and the larynx or the throat could be seen as the twin to the womb and cervix, right? Because the vocal cords open and close to create sound, and the cervix opens and closes to create life. It opens to 10 centimeters in childbirth, but it also opens every month in our fertile years around ovulation, and also it opens a little bit around the bleed to allow the blood to release. And something that I noticed for myself as I've been observing myself over the years, especially observing my cycle, is that around ovulation, so when the sexual energy is peaking and also when the cervix is opening a little bit, my voice suddenly opens up and I have to sing, I have to play music. It's like it almost hurts not to, and my voice is much more free. It's a much more free singing voice. I have a lot of energy for it. And then when I'm around my premenstrual phase, when the cervix is quite closed, I have no energy to sing. I don't even have that much energy to speak sometimes, to be honest. But after the bleed, like day 2 or something, when the cervix is open, then my creative force comes back and the desire to sing is there again. It's a different quality, but I still like to sing. It might be softer. And when I started to take this womb work more seriously, the quality of my voice changed and people noticed it. It's still my same voice, but I even remember it used to take more strain to speak and to use my voice. And it's just a softer, kind of more feminine quality than it used to have. It's more easeful. And that just happened naturally through this connection to my womb. So I know there's this huge connection between sound, voice, and womb. And obviously in childbirth, like through all the births that I've been to, like if I hear a woman, tensed up here and her neck is all tensed up and she's making like high-pitched noises and is like this, like for sure if she's using her voice in fear, then that's going to translate down to her pelvis or to her birthing center, and that's going to be tight. That's going to not let anything move. It's not going to let anything transform. It's actually just going to create more suffering. So in those moments, I'm like, okay, let's use the voice, but don't use it in fear. Don't use it in anticipation. Use it in what is happening here and now. Use the voice there. And with that comes much lower sounds. You're riding that wave, and actually the sound is getting you through that experience. You're roaring your baby out of the birth space into the world of form. So let's touch on this idea of the pendulum in both the womb and the throat, these extremes. So you have overindulgence or a waste of energy on one hand, and then you have repression or avoidance on the other hand. Neither are going to transform energy. Both are going to feed energy into the lower impulses. So what do we do? So let's break it down on the womb level of overindulgence or wasting energy. That's just indulging in every single animal impulse that we have in our creative center, or it could even be overworking ourselves. It could also be wasting energy emotionally, but obviously it's also overindulging sexually, whatever that means to you. That's going to be karmically complicated, energetically complicated. It can create complications in the womb, psychologically complicated. And look, nobody can tell you what overindulgence is for you. There's no rule book here. There's no judgment here. You do what thy will with your energy, but you will know, you will feel, okay, I've been wasting my energy here. I've been wasting my energy. And there can be, this can also be from trauma. This can be from an ancestral disposition. This can be from a cultural disposition, whatever it might be. This overindulgence is basically wasting the creative energy and also overcomplicating the system. Let's bring it to the repression side. A total avoidance of our creative force, an avoidance of our creative talents, and even an avoidance of our emotions sometimes, and an avoidance of our sexuality altogether. And again, this could be a cultural predisposition for the country you're born into, the religion you're born into. It could be an ancestral predisposition. It could be from trauma. It doesn't really matter. But if you're repressing it, you're actually also feeding those lower energies. It's like a ticking time bomb. You're sitting on that repression. It's not moving. Energy has to move, right? And either it goes out to waste or it goes up, basically. But if you're just sitting on it, it's like a ticking time bomb. And that energy is growing and growing. What you're avoiding, you're just not looking at it. And at some point, it's going to blow up, or it's going to steal from other parts of our life or our health, right? So we don't want to avoid our creative energy. We don't want to avoid it. And this is why you see issues in like the church and different religious communities of all of a sudden weird things going on and abuse, because there was like an avoidance. People haven't been taught how to transform their energy. They don't know anything about it. They don't know anything about not indulging in every animal impulse or not repressing every impulse. They don't know anything about it. So we have a whole world of extremes. Let's bring it up to the throat level on the overindulgence side, right? This can be mindless chatter, gossip, just talking too much, you know, especially if there's a lot of trauma, sometimes people have to talk and they want to constantly talk and chatter away. That's actually wasting the creative energy as well. I see a lot in the New Age community, people talking about every subjective thought and feeling they have and wanting to hash it out and explain every preference and attraction that they have to each person. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but that's also, is that your highest truth, or is that just like all your subjective impulses just wanting to chatter? You know? So or people being really brutal in their speech, speaking really brutally, dominating in their communication, dominating others, right? Okay, let's move it to the repression side. Well, then there's people who are like, I really struggle to speak my truth. Maybe they've had shame. Somebody put them down. Maybe, again, it's ancestral, past life, whatever. It doesn't matter. But they really struggle to speak their truth. They struggle to even know their truth. They struggle to communicate. They might be passive aggressive. They don't know how to communicate what they feel. It gets lost in translation, or they just don't speak at all. And there's a lot of that's also ignoring our creative force. And this is going to create a lot of problems. So how to find the middle ground? Well, there's many ways. And I will leave resources in the description below. But essentially, we have to be like women giving birth, and we have to be like yogis. We have to move the energy up, or we waste it, or we create with it, right? We speak and we create with our hands, and our actions are here, right? People say you will know them by their fruit. And it's like, okay, well, the fruit could be what you give birth to, but it could also be what you give birth to here, which is your entire life. What you speak, what you do, your actions and your words are here. But we live in a world where we're constantly lying to ourselves, or we don't even know our truth. So it sort of moves like this for me. Our creative impulse is in the sacral center, or the womb center. It moves up to the heart, and there's a feeling there. And from that feeling, it almost gives life to be created. If you have a poem, it gestates in your womb. It moves, then you start to feel it in the heart, and then you speak it or you write it. Or whatever, our whole lives are gestated within us. So to be truthful really takes a lot of awareness. Well, that's about it on the womb-throat connection. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, if you really liked it, please like, subscribe, share, press whatever buttons are going to help other people see it. And thank you so much. Until next time.